When someone receives a diagnosis of high blood pressure, the medical advice they hear is almost reflexive: eliminate salt from your diet. On the surface, this recommendation seems logical. It's straightforward, easy to understand, and gives patients something concrete to act on. However, there's a significant issue with this approach. For the vast majority of people, this advice is woefully incomplete at best. At worst, it misdirects them entirely, steering them away from addressing the actual underlying problems. This isn't to suggest that salt is completely irrelevant to blood pressure management. It does play a role, but salt represents only one small fragment of a far more complex picture. When healthcare providers and patients fixate exclusively on sodium reduction, they inadvertently ignore the genuine underlying mechanisms that elevated blood pressure in the first place. In this discussion, I want to guide you through the real causes of hypertension that frequently go unrecognized. These are factors you can address starting today. In numerous cases, once you correct these fundamental issues, your blood pressure normalizes rapidly without requiring pharmaceutical intervention. We're going to examine nutrient deficiencies, metabolic imbalances, and hormonal factors that drive elevated blood pressure. Once you comprehend these commonly overlooked contributing forces, you'll understand why the conventional one-size-fits-all approach fails to address the root cause of hypertension. This fundamental gap in understanding explains why so many individuals end up managing a chronic condition and remain dependent on medications indefinitely. Let's first explore why focusing exclusively on salt or sodium is frequently insufficient or even completely misleading. The mechanism by which sodium affects blood pressure involves drawing water into the bloodstream. This process increases overall blood volume, which subsequently elevates the pressure exerted on arterial walls. This part of the explanation is accurate and well established. However, what medical professionals rarely explain is what happens next in a properly functioning body. If your kidneys are operating optimally, they detect this rise in blood pressure almost instantaneously. In response, they excrete the excess sodium along with surplus water through urine production. As this excess volume is eliminated, blood pressure naturally returns to baseline levels. This regulatory mechanism functions remarkably effectively in healthy individuals. This explains why many people can consume salt or high sodium foods without developing hypertension. It also accounts for the substantial variability in salt sensitivity across different individuals. Some people demonstrate extreme salt sensitivity, while others show virtually no response at all. When blood pressure remains elevated, even after significantly reducing sodium intake, this reveals something critically important. The issue isn't the sodium you're consuming. The problem lies in how your body is processing and regulating it. This is where the actual causes of sustained high blood pressure begin to emerge. One of the first factors I investigate is magnesium status. Magnesium plays an absolutely essential role in blood pressure regulation through multiple mechanisms. Magnesium enhances the production of nitric oxide and prostacyclin, both of which help relax and dilate blood vessels. When magnesium levels are insufficient, blood vessels remain more constricted than they should be, creating increased resistance to blood flow. This elevated vascular resistance is what drives blood pressure upward. The reason I emphasize magnesium so strongly is that magnesium deficiency is extraordinarily common in modern populations. Some estimates indicate that nearly half of the United States population fails to obtain adequate magnesium through dietary sources alone. This deficiency pattern appears consistently in observational research as well. A comprehensive meta-analysis examining 22 separate studies found that individuals with lower magnesium levels demonstrated significantly higher odds of developing hypertension. Furthermore, the relationship was dose-dependent. The lower the magnesium level, the higher the risk of elevated blood pressure. Why have magnesium deficiencies become so prevalent? A substantial contributing factor is the modern diet. Refined grains, sugar-laden foods, and heavily processed products lack essential minerals, including magnesium. Additionally, consuming high amounts of sugar actively causes your body to excrete magnesium through urine, compounding the deficiency problem. Even if you believe you're obtaining sufficient magnesium based on dietary calculations, you may still fall short of optimal levels. Modern agricultural practices frequently deplete soil minerals faster than they can be naturally replenished. Consequently, foods may appear identical, but contain significantly less magnesium than the same foods contained just a few decades ago. My recommended approach involves prioritizing magnesium-rich foods in your daily diet. Focus on leafy green vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, and dairy products. However, recognize that even an excellent contemporary diet provides less magnesium than the identical foods would have supplied to previous generations. For this reason, many individuals would genuinely benefit from magnesium supplementation. This is definitely something you should discuss with your healthcare provider if you're dealing with elevated blood pressure. A recent meta analysis of 38 randomized controlled trials demonstrated that magnesium supplementation using a median dose of 365 milligrams per day for 12 weeks produced small but clinically meaningful reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure measurements. The blood pressure lowering effect was even more pronounced in hypertensive individuals already taking antihypertensive medications. In this patient population, magnesium supplementation resulted in an approximately 8 millimeters of mercury reduction in systolic blood pressure. Now let's discuss insulin, because insulin represents one of the most underappreciated hormones affecting blood pressure. When insulin levels become chronically elevated, the kidneys begin retaining sodium. They simply stop releasing it efficiently. Consequently, your kidneys hold on to both sodium and water, which directly causes blood pressure to rise. This phenomenon occurs even when sodium intake remains completely unchanged. This mechanism explains why people with insulin resistance, prediabetes, or type 2 diabetes frequently develop hypertension as a comorbid condition. It also explains why blood pressure often improves when insulin levels decrease, even before significant weight loss occurs. This is another compelling reason why eliminating processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and added sugars benefits your blood pressure far more effectively than simply adopting a low-salt diet. Salt or sodium can temporarily elevate blood pressure, but it's the persistently elevated insulin levels that transform this into a chronic, self-perpetuating problem. This brings us to fructose, which deserves special attention. Fructose is a simple sugar widely used as a sweetener and preservative in countless processed foods. I frequently discuss the problems associated with excessive fructose consumption in my other presentations, particularly regarding non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. When you consume substantial quantities of fructose from processed foods or beverages, your body significantly increases uric acid production. Elevated uric acid is a direct contributor to hypertension through several mechanisms. High uric acid levels interfere with nitric oxide function, which is supposed to maintain blood vessels in a relaxed state. It also increases arterial stiffness and substantially impairs the kidney's ability to excrete sodium efficiently. Uric acid is actually one of the laboratory values I routinely monitor in all my patients, especially those presenting with elevated blood pressure. I've witnessed numerous cases where blood pressure normalized simply by reducing fructose intake and lowering uric acid levels. When dietary modification alone proves insufficient, we sometimes employ a medication called allopurinol, which most people recognize as a gout treatment, but it can also effectively reduce blood pressure when elevated uric acid is the underlying driver. The broader point is this: when you eliminate added sugars and processed foods from your diet, you simultaneously address both insulin resistance and elevated uric acid levels. It's genuinely remarkable how correcting just these two metabolic disturbances can rapidly reverse elevated blood pressure without conventional antihypertensive medications. This is the recurring theme you'll continue to notice. High blood pressure isn't caused by a single dietary mistake or one isolated factor. More commonly, it results from multiple small physiological stresses that accumulate and synergize to create significant problems. Another major piece of the hypertension puzzle that frequently gets overlooked is potassium. Potassium exerts its blood pressure lowering effects through two primary mechanisms in your body. First, potassium works within your blood vessels and kidneys. It promotes vascular relaxation and signals your kidneys to increase sodium excretion through urine production. Essentially, it counteracts sodium retention, thereby reducing the pressure within your blood vessels. Second, potassium also functions in your central nervous system. When potassium levels increase, particularly in the brain and cerebrospinal fluid, it suppresses sympathetic nervous system activity, your fight or flight response, that typically elevates blood pressure during stress. By dampening this neural signal, Potassium helps quiet the nervous system and reduces the release of hormones that normally raise blood pressure. I emphasize this because typical modern diets contain very low potassium levels and very high sodium levels, precisely the opposite ratio that supports healthy blood pressure regulation. This nutritional imbalance alone can elevate blood pressure, even when total sodium intake doesn't appear particularly high on paper. When you combine inadequate potassium intake with elevated insulin levels, high uric acid, and insufficient magnesium, you create the perfect metabolic storm that causes your body to retain sodium and maintains chronically elevated blood pressure over time. If you want to increase potassium in your dietary routine, my personal favorite food sources include root vegetables such as potatoes and sweet potatoes. Vine fruits like tomatoes, cucumbers, and eggplants are excellent choices. Leafy greens such as spinach provide substantial potassium content. Don't overlook legumes, including chickpeas, various beans, and peas. These foods also deliver significant beneficial fiber. If you're keeping track, you'll notice that many of these foods simultaneously provide substantial magnesium, delivering a double nutritional benefit. This discussion doesn't constitute a comprehensive catalog of every factor that can elevate blood pressure. We haven't explored how other micronutrient or vitamin deficiencies can contribute to hypertension, deficiencies in vitamin D or vitamin B12, for instance. We haven't discussed homocysteine levels, which also matter considerably, stress management, sleep quality, and even secondary endocrine disorders like primary aldosteronism, which actually appears in anywhere from 8 to 20% of cases of resistant hypertension, all warrant attention. I'll explore those topics in greater depth in future presentations. The essential takeaway is to address these fundamental factors early before irreversible vascular damage develops. Once damage accumulates and your blood vessels become rigid and lose their natural elasticity, sustained high blood pressure becomes exponentially more difficult to reverse. I hope you've found this information valuable and actionable. Stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next discussion.